Hello mates, I hope you're all doing well. So today, for your enjoyment, I'm going to be reacting to the first ever video that I posted on this channel back in July of 2022. This is a video that I've been thinking about making for a while because I feel like I've grown a lot since I've put that first video out about a year and a half ago now. And I think it'd be just kind of funny to look back at how I was and probably cringe at how I was back then compared to how I am now. Or who knows, maybe I'll look back and be like, who's that guy? Bring that guy back. He's so much cooler than me in the present. Probably not though, nobody's cooler than me. So if you are new here, yo, my name is Ali and I make tattoo content, and the video that I'm going to be reacting to is a tattoo tour video. I'd honestly been thinking about making this video for about 3 years before I finally bit the bullet and did it. I had way less tattoos then though compared to how many tattoos I have now, so it'll be kind of funny to see me with like half naked arms. This is the first video that like popped off for me. What I mean by that is it was my most video for quite a while, and I say popped off very loosely because even now it's only got like 2.3k, which is like, in the grand scheme of things on YouTube, a pretty small drop in the ocean. That's probably enough pre-nattering from me now, so without further ado, let's get into it. So, gonna put my headphones on. I've got my iPad down here. It's kind of just out of shot, so I'm not like staring at my dick. Don't worry about that, I'm just watching on my iPad. Okay, let's have a watch. Hello mates, hope you're all doing well. Why is it so stretched? Well, I know why it's so stretched, because I filmed it in fucking widescreen and then just cropped it down afterwards and didn't notice that I looked like I was about fucking 300 pounds heavier because it was so stretched out and so wide. Also, no intro, just straight in there, straight in your face. Let's continue. We're going to talk about traditional tattoos, or more specifically, my traditional tattoos, what I've got and why I got them. Bless this guy, he's so much more subdued than I am now. He's just so like chilled, laid back. Now I'm just like rah, in your face the whole time, you know. All of my traditional tattoos are on my arms. I've got 2 patchwork sleeves currently in progress. All of my tattoos have been done by 2 artists here in Brighton. This is also before I figured out like this nice setup with this like nice kind of set behind me, this nice pink lighting, this nice blurry background. I'm filming this on cinematic mode on my iPhone. Got this nice microphone which works kind of much better for YouTube. That microphone that I'm using there works kind of good for recording like male vocals. Not so good for like recording audio for like a video. You have to have it like straight up to your mouth, which is how I had it then. This is much better for when you're recording from further away, so you can kind of see my mouth, see my hands, all moving around and all that kind of good stuff. I've only recently kind of figured out all that good stuff in the last sort of, you know, couple of months. I look back on videos even from like last September, which isn't that long ago in the grand scheme of things, and they look absolutely dire compared to how I think this looks now. Maybe I'll look back at how this looks now in like another few months time and be like, what the fuck were you thinking? This looks dreadful as well. Who's to say? We will see. The first piece that I want to talk about is this 1950s greaser, which was done by Aaron Fitchett. This was a birthday present to myself on my 21st birthday. I've always thought that greasers were the coolest looking cats. Cats. Funny, Ali. Well done. I wanted to get this tattoo. Now, I said to Aaron that I wanted this to look super Sailor Jerry in terms of the design and the colours that he used, and this is what he came up with. Now, I didn't heal this tattoo very well, unfortunately. I have super dry skin, and I didn't keep it moist enough. Moist. More funnies. Also, I've told this story about this fucking greaser tattoo I don't even know how many times now. Probably in the hundreds. Since got it touched up twice, but it doesn't look quite as good as if I just healed it properly in the first place. But it is still one of my favourite tattoos, and I think it is just fucking rad. Sunglasses. Funny. What a funny man I was. I do get asked all the time if this is supposed to be Elvis, which, you know, I get. You see a guy with black hair in a quiff and your mind just goes straight to Elvis, so I don't mind that, but I do get that on an almost daily basis. I don't think anyone has asked me that recently if it's supposed to be Elvis. It's not supposed to be Elvis. I do occasionally, very occasionally, get people who ask me, is that supposed to be you, like meaning me? I'm like, no, I didn't get myself tattooed on my arm, funny enough, because I'm not that much of a weirdo. I'm not a complete psycho. This next one is also done by Aaron Fitchett. It's a swallow. That is a fucking terrible picture that I've just plopped in there. I didn't think to film like any kind of like B-roll with like the tattoos that I could just like overlay over the top. I decided to just put fucking terrible pictures in there instead. Used to represent travel and freedom, as well as the idea of returning home. You can also tell that I'm reading from my notes off screen in this. Like, I'm here and the notes are over here, so I keep being like, do you know what I mean? People still comment now that I don't look into the camera while I'm filming. And I don't know what that is. I think I'm looking into the lens, but actually I'm looking like to the side of the lens, above the lens, who knows? But it is my intention to look in the lens, I promise you. This is another one that was a birthday present to myself for my 21st birthday. I did get quite a few tattoos for my 21st birthday. I got 4 tattoos. 5 tattoos. 4, maybe 5. I can't remember the timeline exactly, but I did get quite a few in a very short space of time. I went from having maybe 1 or 2 visible tattoos on my arms to all of a sudden I had 4 or 5. And that would just completely throw me for a loop. I was like, oh my God, I look heavily tattooed all of a sudden. I didn't in retrospect, but at the time I definitely thought that I did. When I was growing up, my next door neighbour had a swallow tattooed on his arm, and he's the first person I ever remember seeing with tattoos, which is why I think the idea of a traditional swallow has stood up to me so much. It's been, you know, something that's been in my life for a long time. Yeah, I love this one. Moving to the inside of my arm, I've got this clipper ship. This was also done by Aaron Fitchett. Again, this is another iconic sailor tattoo. I've got a banner which reads, "That is a fucking weird gap that you've got there on your wrist, mate. I'm so glad that I've sorted that out." And I have since filled that in because it just looks, that looks so fucking weird with just that random gap just at the bottom of your wrist, mate. What were you thinking? Bound, which is a phrase you see attached to a lot of old school clipper ship tattoos. This is just such an iconic image and obviously another classic design. That was some terrible editing. If we then move up my arm onto my bicep, I've got this red heart which says mum. What is there really to say about this one? I love my mum and I wanted to put that on my skin. This one I also got on my 21st birthday in the same session that I got the swallow done. The last one on this arm is this pin-up girl. Now I'm sure some of you have noticed right away, this one doesn't look particularly good. But believe it or not, it looked worse before. So this is one that I had to get Aaron Fitchett to fix for me because it was just fucking atrocious. It was properly awful before. And it doesn't look that great now, but comparing how it looks now to then, it's like a whole nother world. A whole new world. It's mental, mate. I'll put up an image on the screen now of what it looked like before Aaron fixed it for me. So this was actually the first ever tattoo that I got on my arms. I wanted to get a pin-up girl because of my affinity for the 1950s. Affinity? What a word. I'd never say that now. Maybe I would. Who's to say? Maybe I'm actually way more intelligent than I give myself credit for. I went to being the fucking idiot that I am, or at least was when I was 19. You're still a fucking idiot. I'm still a fucking idiot now. Didn't specialise in traditional tattoos, and I don't think really knew what a traditional tattoo was. He also wasn't a trained tattoo artist, okay? He was a scratcher, and I know when people say scratcher, you think of a guy tattooing out of his kitchen or something. It wasn't in a kitchen. He did have a studio. It wasn't much better than a kitchen, though. It was like this fucking old dentist chair on this horrible vinyl flooring, and everywhere you looked there was these stacks and stacks of all of his favourite metal albums. And that dude is one scary looking motherfucker as well. He's not a guy that I'd have fucked with. There was no way that I was going to tell him, hang on a minute, you've done a really shit job with this tattoo here. I was just like, yeah, thank you, that looks really cool, she's so sexy, I love her. She wasn't, mate. You knew she wasn't, mate. She looked awful. At the point I had no concept of what made a good tattoo, and this guy just happened to be 5 minutes away from me, hence why I went to him. I sent him loads of flash images and I kept saying to him that I wanted it to look super traditional, and he just kept saying to me, yeah, no problem. It was yeah problem though, because he didn't have a fucking clue what a traditional tattoo was. And I went, yeah, I think that looks fine. It was only after we were pretty much done with the tattoo that he then turned to me and said, so we've gone full realism with this? And I remember thinking, that's pretty much the opposite of traditional. Oh, my heart sank at that point when he said we've gone full realism. This is why you should do your research, kids. Don't go to just fucking anybody to get a tattoo. Go to somebody who knows what they're doing, who actually understands what the style of tattoo is that you want. If you go to somebody for a traditional tattoo and you get the vibe that they've never heard of traditional tattoos, run. I also never intended for it to be so fucking blue, but the guy never asked me about colours or anything like that, and he was a super intimidating dude, so I didn't want to ask too many questions. It was one of my first tattoos, and yeah, that's on me. Originally, her face was just completely fucked. Her nose was facing a different... Look at her face. Look at that. Her nose faces one way, the rest of her face faces a completely different way. I walked around for 1.5 years with this on my arms. 1.5 years. This existed on my body before I got it fixed. Way to the rest of her face. And it was just a fucking catastrophe, to be honest, and Aaron really did his best with what was there, but it was never going to be as good as if I just got it done properly by someone who knew what they were doing the first time. I do think it looks loads better than before though, and we live and we learn. Don't trust people with only good tattoos anyway. I stand by that. Don't trust people with only good tattoos. Trust people who are fucked up and learnt from their mistakes. On my right arm, I've got another red heart with a banner. This one says True Love. This is another one that was inspired by looking at a bunch of old Sailor Jerry flash. You can see my acne starting to poke out now. I'd worn that hat to try and cover the acne, and then for some reason my hair just started riding up, or the hat started riding up, and you can properly see the acne that I was really struggling with at the time. I'd gone to the pharmacy to get like proper ointment to sort that shit out. I was so self-conscious about it, and it was a massive deal for me to still film this YouTube video with that massive insecurity on my face, because I was thinking about waiting until the acne had sorted itself out before I filmed this video, but I was like, no, I'll wear a hat and it'll be alright. But you can still see it, fortunately. Much better now though. Then above that we have my favourite Sailor Jerry design ever. This is an old school Navy girl that I got at a Sailor Jerry flash day at Gold Irons Tattoo. Again, this is one that Aaron did for me. I was actually seeing this image on someone else that made me really fall in love with traditional tattoos and want traditional tattoos and want sleeves. So I've told that story about 300 times on this channel since then as well. Get some new content, mate. If push came to shove, I would probably have to say that this is my favourite tattoo. It's just such a simple and supreme design. Simple and supreme design. Who are you, mate? Who are you? My outer forearm, I have this mermaid holding a skull. This tattoo was done by Jerry Salvage at Magic Tattooing here in Brighton. This tattoo is maybe 4 months old now, and it's an image that I've wanted for a long time. This is the first tattoo that I got after 3 years of not getting any. It's so weird being able to see my elbow. Like, I have both of my elbows tattooed now, and it's so weird to think that at one point that was not the case, and that I used to have actual like visible elbows. Not anymore. Really happy with how it turned out. I said to Joey that I wanted black scales instead of blue or green scales, which is something that he was skeptical about at first, but it's something that I'd seen elsewhere, and I just thought it would look fire as fuck. And I'm really happy with how it contrasts to the rest of the tattoo. Black scales was definitely the right decision. Black shading in any traditional tattoo just is mwah. I'm so glad that we made that decision. Also, I don't know if you picked up on this, but I really struggled to speak on camera at this point, so everything is filmed like pretty much one line at a time. Like, I would focus on really making sure that I got one line right at a time, then I'd move on to the next thing that I wanted to say. I feel much more confident speaking on camera now, although I'd probably still film stuff one line at a time. I just get so like tongue-tied when I'm trying to film these videos, you know? Inner forearm, this is a piece that Joe did for me at the same time as he did the mermaid. Obviously, it is a Bible with blood dripping from it. I won't go too much into why I got this, but it's got a pretty special meaning to me. I have told this story about 5 million times. Did you know that I grew up in the Christian church and I got this tattoo to represent that time that I spent in the Christian church? We fucking know, mate! Stop telling everybody! And then left the church at 16, and basically, to cut a long story short, this represents that part of my life. Above the Bible, we've then got a Gretsch guitar, which was also done by Jerry Salvage. I got this image basically because I play guitar, and the Gretsch is my favourite looking guitar. I've actually got one here that my dad got for me. My dad also plays guitar, so it kind of reminds me of him when I look at this as well. I'm really happy with how this one turned out. Above the guitar, I've then got an eagle filling that little gap in. This one was also done by Jerry Salvage at Magic Tattooing, and this is a piece from Jerry's flash that happens to just fill the gap really nicely. It didn't feel particularly nice when I was getting it done, and Joey went over my elbow ditch, but it was well worth it, and again, it's one of my favourites. I didn't think I laid it on thick enough here, just how much it actually hurts getting your ditch tattooed. I 100% would recommend you put that shit off for as long as possible, because it is like hell's fire tattooing you. Moving up my arm, we have this flower filler, which is kind of filling my ditch out. Another really awful photo here. Why I didn't think we'll just film some B-roll, get some nice shots of the tattoos, and then I'll just overlay that over the top. Why I put this fucking awful photo in, I don't know. This one was done by Aaron Fitchett at Gold Irons. Again, this was a real bitch in the ditch area. Bitch in the ditch. I wonder how long it took me to come up with that. Above that, I have this panther, also done by Aaron Fitchett. Just another staple image of traditional tattoos. I've called mine T'Challa, because obviously it's a Black Panther. King T'Challa is the Black Panther. And I love how nicely it ties in with this next one, which is a lady head, again done by Aaron Fitchett. Aaron does loads of lady head tattoos, and this is my favourite one that I've ever seen him do. I love the rose in her hair, and I just think she's just so fucking beautiful. Neither of these have any particular meaning, but I just think they both look cool as fuck. They do look really cool together. These are all of my traditional tattoos. Yeah, this is me just wrapping up now. So that was my reaction to my first ever YouTube video. Not as bad as I thought it would be, but at the same time, also so much worse, you know? Let me know your thoughts on how I've developed in the time since I put that video out. in the comments below. If you did enjoy this video, give it a like and hit the subscribe button and all that other YouTube bollocks. If you like the music that you're hearing in the background, it was actually all produced by me. I have another channel where I post beats / instrumentals that I've written for singers to use to write songs to. So if that is something you are interested in, I'll put a link in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.